As Spain and Portugal slowly returned to normal following nationwide blackouts, the cause of the disruption remained a mystery on Tuesday. Portugal's Prime Minister Luís Montenegro has called for an EU inquiry, while his Spanish counterpart Pedro Sánchez said reforms will be made to ensure it does not happen again.
É, portanto, também importante que, face a uma expectativa menos positiva, que ainda ontem foi adiantada relativamente à nossa dependência, nomeadamente com Espanha, sabermos que o problema que foi causado não tem a ver com a falta de capacidade de produção e distribuição em Portugal. O que tem a ver é com exatamente essa ligação.
Spain's private operator Red Eléctrica has ruled out a cyber attack, but Sánchez said his government will also still conduct an independent analysis.
Y se están examinando ya los registros informáticos de Red Eléctrica y también de los operadores privados para no descartar ninguna hipótesis. Digo esto porque Red Eléctrica ha hecho saber que descarta en la red de transportes cualquier ciberataque. Valoramos positivamente este aspecto, pero en todo caso la responsabilidad del Gobierno de España es hacer un análisis independiente.
By Tuesday morning, Red Eléctrica said 99% of energy demand in Spain was restored, and Portuguese grid operator REN said all its power substations were back online.
A blackout in the Iberian Peninsula brought much of Spain and Portugal to a standstill. Millions were affected across major cities like Madrid, Barcelona, Lisbon, and Porto. In Spain, many say the outage caught them by surprise.
Pues estábamos en el cambio de turno, yo ya me iba, ella entraba, se nos ha ido la luz, la nevera apagada, el robot apagado, no podemos dispensar medicamentos y algún producto de parafarmacia que estamos intentando venderlo, pero...
¿Y eso en qué coste? ¿Puede tener mucho coste para la farmacia?
Personal, productos, toda la nevera es de productos más caros y no tenemos ahora mismo movimiento, cero.
Train stations and telecommunication services experienced major disruptions. Bank cards were rendered useless, leaving many unable to purchase items like food and water, and products were quickly running out as consumers resorted to panic purchasing in preparation for a potentially lengthy blackout.
Hay poca agua, poco papel de baño, muy pocas cositas, la verdad. No hay pan y muy pocas cosas, la verdad. Si podéis pillar lo que puedan porque se está quedando todo vacío por ahora.
Pues ahora mismo en España lo que se vive es una gran incertidumbre ante este gran apagón. Se han fundido los plomos de forma sencilla, por así decirlo, por una circunstancia excepcional. Como se puede ver en la calle, suministros de gasolina paralizados, lavanderías también paralizadas, los semáforos no funcionan y la mayoría de personas se está intentando hacer acopio de comida y los supermercados se están viendo desabastecidos porque no se sabe qué es lo que va a ocurrir de aquí a unas horas. Juan Carlos de Santos, desde Madrid, para Euronews.
This Tuesday marks exactly 6 months since the Dana floods occurred, impacting a number of villages in the outskirts of Valencia, like Aldaya, where I'm standing now. 227 people lost their lives during those floods and thousands of businesses and homes were destroyed. Today here, the feeling is one of hope as some businesses have managed to reopen, but also of emotional exhaustion and anxiety and fear that the Dana could one day occur again. We had the opportunity to speak to Eva Lexcano, an entrepreneur and young mother here in the town.
Ha sido duro, no te voy a engañar, han sido meses muy duros. Ahora es verdad que también se nos está acumulando el cansancio ya de estos 6 meses porque nosotros, aparte de mi negocio, perdimos nuestra casa y la casa todavía estamos con las reformas y demás. Pero bueno, en cuanto al estudio, contentísima, la verdad, porque la respuesta de la gente de la vuelta de la Dana ha sido brutal. Todo el mundo ha venido con muchas ganas de normalidad, sobre todo, porque después de ver a un pueblo devastado, estas cosas al final es lo que te pide el cuerpo, ¿no? Volver a la normalidad, hacer las cosas que siempre hacemos, no pedimos más. A partir de la Dana y de la pandemia en general y de todo, ya nos hemos puesto un escudo, porque lo viví un poco desde la tranquilidad. Dije, bueno, ya qué más puede pasar después de todo esto. Y bueno, menos mal que finalmente fueron unas horas solo y no sé, yo ya pensaba que hoy podríamos seguir con el apagón y entonces ya mi cabeza, ¿qué hago con el negocio? Tal. Pero bueno, al final ha sido algo cortito, así que genial.
A 12-year-old girl was killed and a 6-year-old girl was injured in a Russian strike on Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region early on Tuesday, according to regional authorities. Both children became trapped under the rubble of a house that was destroyed, rescuers said. Moscow is intensifying its attacks across Ukraine, even as it announced a 72-hour ceasefire next week to mark its Victory Day in World War II. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called the proposal a manipulation and urged for a longer one.
Зараз, от знов, чергова спроба маніпуляцій. Чомусь всі повинні чекати 8 травня. І тільки тоді припиняти вогонь. Щоб забезпечити Путіну тишу на час параду. Ми цінуємо життя людей, а не паради. І саме тому ми вважаємо, світ вважає, що немає причин чекати 8 травня. І вогонь має бути припинений не на кілька днів.
Until now, Russian President Vladimir Putin has refused to accept a complete unconditional ceasefire, linking it to a halt in Western arms supplies to Ukraine and Kyiv's mobilization effort.
The Prime Minister's Liberal Party has won Canada's federal elections, setting the stage for Mark Carney to form a government. Canadian public broadcaster CBC reports that Carney's Liberal Party is projected to secure 161 out of the 343 parliamentary seats. The vote marks a stunning defeat for Canada's Conservatives, who under the leadership of Pierre Poilievre were expected to be returned to power after nearly a decade. However, a diplomatic and trade crisis caused by the second U.S. presidency of Donald Trump undercut their appeal. Poilievre conceded defeat on Tuesday night, while Prime Minister Carney claimed victory and thanked party leaders. Carney told supporters Canada was now over the shock of American betrayal and vowed his government would work for all.
European Council President Antonio Costa is on a 3-day visit to Bulgaria, where he toured the Arsenal factory, a Bulgarian firearms and ammunition manufacturer. He said Bulgaria could have a key role in supplying European defense capabilities, adding that investment in defense would also drive competitiveness.
Arsenal factory is a very good example of the link between defense and competitiveness, and in particular our Bulgarian defense industry, with its unique historical and regional know-how, is contributing to Europe's support for Ukraine.
Costa stressed that the security of Europe and Ukraine cannot be separated, calling for all European member states to increase their defense capacities. He also mentioned how his visit comes at a significant time for Bulgaria as it has joined the Schengen area and prepares to join the Eurozone.
Amazon has launched its first batch of internet broadcasting satellites, kicking off its long-delayed deployment of an internet from space network. 27 satellites are now in orbit at an altitude of nearly 630 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Monday's launch from the Atlas V rocket, which took off from Florida, follows that of 2 experimental satellites launched 2 years ago as part of Project Kuiper, a $10 billion effort unveiled in 2019. Competing with rival Elon Musk's Starlink, Jeff Bezos' team claims that the satellites they're launching are now much more advanced than the first 2. The company aims to put more than 3,200 of these satellites into orbit. Musk's SpaceX has already launched more than 8,000 Starlinks since 2019. Meanwhile, a growing number of astronomers are warning that the large number of satellites is hampering their work and could pose an accident risk.
Hydraulics continue to look good.
Russian firefighting air tankers dropped more than 100 tons of water at Iran's largest container port after a massive explosion last Saturday killed over 70 people. According to the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations, 2 Russian air tankers dropped more than 130 tons of water. Earlier, Iranian officials announced that the fire had been extinguished. Some of those killed in the blast reportedly included truck drivers, port workers, and a newlywed couple. Around 1,000 others were left injured. Reports suggested the blast occurred as the port took in a chemical component needed for solid fuel for ballistic missiles, something that Iranian authorities have denied. Iran's Interior Ministry on Monday blamed non-compliance with safety precautions and negligence as having caused the explosion.
At least 9 people were left dead in a Damascus suburb after clashes broke out between pro-government fighters and local Druze gunmen, according to the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. The fighting was sparked by an audio clip circulated on social media of a man attacking Islam's prophet Muhammad. The audio was attributed to a Druze cleric who later denied being involved. The clip angered many Sunni Muslims and led to the fighting in the predominantly Druze suburb of Jaramana. Syria's Interior Ministry said it was investigating the incident and urged people to not act in a way that undermines security. It was the latest episode of sectarian violence in Syria, which has seen several clashes involving minority groups since the fall of President Bashar al-Assad. The new leadership has attempted to unite fragmented armed groups under one authority, but Druze fighters have resisted this, saying Damascus failed to guarantee their protection from hostile militants.